Hey everybody, Mags here. We are going to review some of the hints and tips that we've been given this year on the Dynasty Hot Seat. If you are new here, do me a favor, can you like, comment, share on this video for me, please, like you can see here. And then also, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button too? It really helps out. Right, on to the hints and tips.
Absolutely. So I've got a few written down here. And I actually did a kind of intro to Dynasty series for 5 Yard Rush last summer. So I've included a few bits from that, but also kind of my own personal tips. More sort of generically for Dynasty players than this is a specific player you need to be drafting, because I don't want to give away my secrets. It's always a tough thing about playing fantasy, and writing is, I put out a tweet the other day saying that I think James Conner's entered a huge sell window, and then no one in my leagues want to buy him from me. So it's always a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
But the top one, the first one on my list, and it sounds obvious, but it's to know your league inside out. And that doesn't just mean obviously scoring settings and roster settings, taxi squad. It's more about knowing what your position in that league is. How does your roster compare to others? Who tends to value certain positions higher? Can you look back at a track record of actually so and so always tends to draft receiver? So and so, I've seen them take quarterback higher than I would in a one quarterback league. So I've stocked up a few. Matt Ryan's just been traded. Maybe they'll be interested in getting him for a late first pick because I know that they massively overvalue them. Where are the positions of need across the board? It really helps when looking at trading, which we're going to come to in a second. It really helps to know across the board who is looking for what. It means that you can actually go to people and have a more in-depth conversation when you know, actually, I have a strength here and this person has a weakness here. But actually, I tend to sometimes put together Google Docs and sheets with different leagues to talk about timelines and to talk about, okay, this person is going to be unstoppable this year. I'm pretty confident, a certain element of randomness in fantasy, but it looks like this is the favorite for this year. But if I'm looking at the windows, I know I can compete next year looking at where my team is. And sometimes it's just about making sure that you have that edge from knowing every single detail about your league and the players that you're playing with to make sure that you can actually pitch things in the right way.
Yeah, I think that is an absolutely brilliant tip. Like, especially the part you said about, being able to take that step back and actually look at your league as a whole and don't just think, oh, I'm gonna win every league I'm in. Probably not gonna happen. So have a look at it and think, am I really actually better focusing in on getting, 23 first round picks, 24 first round picks? Because, I've got a team of really young players and by then they could be ready, but I'm just missing this bit, which I can acquire there. It's a long-term game, so you have to play it long-term.
Exactly. And even as much as going, okay, I know that I want Breece Hall this year, and I think he's probably my 101, but looking at who owns various picks, I think I only need to get to 103 in order to get him, just because I can understand how my league is probably going to work. And especially looking back at the last few years, and I've played with these people for a long time now. I know the way they draft. I know the way they tend to value players. I know that, if I want to draft Drake London, I've got to get ahead of the person who only tends to draft alphas. And that's the way he tends to rank receivers. You can note these things down. It feels a bit heavy touch, but when you have these things logged and you can look back at historical drafts and understand the patterns of behavior, because at the end of the day, you're playing against other people. You're not just playing against the machine. So you have to understand the way the other people are working.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely fantastic. And what a great idea, actually. I might start doing that, to actually log down, what people are doing. That is a brilliant idea. I'm gonna pick you up on that tip. I'm gonna start doing that myself.
I'm glad you think so. It's something that's really worked for me in the past.
Brilliant. So brilliant start with the first top tip. You got anything else for us?
Absolutely. So my second tip is about trading. And I'm renowned in my leagues for never really sitting still. I'm always looking for a way to improve, because I think if you're not, then you're going to fall behind. But the tip that I have is more about kind of the long-term investment of trading, and it's to never look to win a trade. If I am going to develop a relationship with my league mates, if I'm going to actually kind of nurture a long-term partnership, I need to make sure that when we trade, we are trading fairly and we are spotting needs for each other. We are helping each other's teams to get better. You might find that you can absolutely fleece your league idiot. We've certainly all seen it happen, and it will make you happy very briefly. But that one trade is unlikely to win you the next few years of titles, and maintaining good relationships across the board with your league mates is. So if you actually make sure that you're keeping those relationships strong, because other teams will notice if you're fleecing others for trades, even if you're making good deals with them, and they won't want to move with you anymore. It has to be looking at it as a long-term investment into the relationships and not just looking to win in the short term.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I think, any trades you end up accepting, that's a win for you.
Yeah.
Because you've decided that is good enough to start with. So instead of worrying about, taking it too far, or like, you get things all the time. It's like, yeah, I think this is great, but I just need another second. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't think that. You want another second. You don't actually think that. You just want one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've had it relatively recently that someone's come back and said, I think I might want to give this back. And you need to have the confidence to say, hey, I've offered you a really good deal. Like, if you don't want to take it, then fine, but I'm pretty confident that what I've offered you is good. And sometimes the people end up coming back and saying, yeah, I was just playing quite hardball. Like, you're right, we'll make the deal happen. But it's a long-term game. If I absolutely fleece someone today, then in 2 years' time, they're not going to want to make a deal with me. And I am always looking to make deals with people.
Nice. Yeah. Again, like, kind of back to what you said at the start. You gotta know your league mates, and having a good relationship with them can only help things. Yeah. So I love that. Two great tips about knowing your surroundings a little bit.
Absolutely.
Got anything else for us, Lewis?
I've got two more, and the next one, it's quite a brief one. But as someone who commissions most of my leagues, it is a very thankless job. And this tip is just to say thank you to your commissioner at the end of the year. It can sometimes be a lot more time consuming than I think people realize. And it's a tough job sometimes. It's that, we did a startup draft the other day, and we included the rookie picks in the draft, which means you have to go through and manually assign 36 picks to different people.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a lot of effort. And people can often only really get into contact with you as a commissioner when something's going wrong. And it just makes a big difference to keeping people wanting to commission for you year after year if you just say thank you at the end of the year.
That is a great tip, sir. Just say thanks. And I know, my soon-to-be colleague, who's number 3 on our Hall of Flame board there, Paul Pickett. Paul's just recently done that, where he had his big spreadsheet full of kicker names and rookie picks beside them. So bless you, Paul Pickett, you're a hero.
You are a hero, Paul. I like Paul. So the final one, and this is actually kind of the main tip that I'll stick to throughout any kind of fantasy that I'm playing, which is that fantasy football should be fun. You might be playing for money sometimes, you might be playing for pride, you might not want to lose against friends you've had for years, but at the end of the day, the reason all of us started doing this is because we love the sport and we love the game. And it has to keep being that. If it's not fun, if you're not enjoying a league, you can leave the league. But in the same way, I think emotionally driven trades can be a really fun thing to do. I know sometimes it's not the best thing in terms of, okay, but the data says I should do this. And say, for example, I'm a massive Rams fan, and I have Cooper Kupp on the majority of my teams. And I think now is probably a good sell window for Cooper Kupp, because I think he's 28 approaching 29. He broke a lot of records this year, but he's unlikely to repeat. His value's as high as it's ever going to be. If you sell him for T. Higgins and a late first or something, that's a winner. I'm not going to sell him anywhere because it makes me way too happy to see him thriving on my team. And I play this because I love playing it. And if something makes you happy while you're doing it, you should do that thing. You should go and get your team's starting quarterback. You should go and get your favorite player. You should trade away the players that you don't like rooting for. You should make it as fun as it can possibly be.
I think that is great. And, that very same, like, happiness factor is probably the same one that got you Cooper Cup prior to his blow up year last year.
Yeah.
You maybe slightly overdrafted him according to the stats then, but now you're laughing because you followed your gut, you followed your heart. Yeah.
I can tell you that's exactly the case in one league where I sent the rookie 110 for him, which was quite a low price at that point, purely because I was like, I don't have any Rams on this team. I want some Rams on this team. And look at the way it's ended up after all that.
Yeah, and at the time someone's like, oh, Trey Sermon, yes. I'll get right in on that. And then,
unfortunately, I think Trey Sermon had gone by that point in our rookie draft,
dear.
which is quite damning.
No. That's even worse.
Around the 107, 108 at that point, which is anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think Lewis, what 4 incredible tips. I'm loving just the positivity that you're exuding as well. Have fun, get to know your teammates, have a good time. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, like this video, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel. These videos are going to be coming thick and fast, so you don't want to miss anything. So that's it for today. In the meantime, keep yourselves, keep your teams lit. We'll see you next time.